Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and hello to all our distinguished guests and chairperson. I shall be slightly critical and slightly naughty. Everyone has spoken a lot in the last many years of statistics and what is the bed deficiency and what's the nursing deficiency and the specialist deficiency. I think all the people from the government have gone, right? Okay. I shall still be naughty. I think the government has one item which none of us have, which is land. It is ridiculous to hold on to land and not utilize it for health care. I'll say it again. It is completely ridiculous. Be it directly through the government, be it through the local state governments, or through DDA, or through any other agency. Just to give you an example, in Delhi NCR, there are approximately 29 plots of land lying vacant in Dwarka, and no one is buying it after 3 bids and auctions. Because the pricing is so crazy. Give it free. Why is everyone talking of PPP in just one straight-jacketed manner? There are projects which are 650 beds hospitals which are lying vacant. They have been constructed, poorly constructed, incompletely constructed, and falling apart in the peripheries of Delhi, and now they have been auctioned and bidded that let the private people come and run the projects. So many bidders, no takers. Why? But here lies the paradox. The paradox is that everyone knows that we have X number of lack of deficiency of beds. Apparently in 2011, entering 2012, we'll have 10 lakh deficiency of beds. Suddenly 7.5 lakhs became 10 lakhs. But if you actually look at, barring a few private hospitals, most of the private hospitals still are not running 100% capacity. Here's the paradox. And this leads me on to the second very major point, is that the government should have intervened in the insurance and cashless policy much earlier at a national level, and not allow it to become a mudslinging match between people who are partly educated and rascals. Because what it has done is it has caused a marked discrepancy in pricing. It has very often put healthcare beyond the reach of even an affordable family. And there is no categorization or rationale to price healthcare depending on the infrastructure, the equipment, and the specialities. Ridiculous. We keep talking of the 3 A's as affordable, accredited, and accurate, and what have you, but I think the 3 P's are more important. Population, which is ever increasing, perception of people, and prevention, the 3 P's. And this leads me on to the third major point, that the real spend of the government, which is practically nil, what India is spending as a percentage of GDP, America was spending at 1/10 the population in 1970s. What we actually need to be spending on is preventive health care. We produce 26 million newborns every year. Just to give you a few statistics, although I don't like statistics. 1 to 2% of every newborn is actually born with some sort of metabolic defect. Documented, worldwide figures, including pan-India. The infant mortality, neonatal mortality, and maternal mortality rates range between 74 and 77 per 1,000 live births, and in France it's 0.7 to 0.9. So after 60 years of independence and 60 years of government healthcare, this is where we've reached. Private healthcare is about 20 years old in Delhi, like in the rest part of India. There is no implementation. We have a lot of policies. We have tremendous meetings in this room, but there is no implementation at the grassroots level where we can actually prevent newborns who are actually suffering with lifetime debilitating complications at birth. We talk of 50 or 60 million diabetics in India. Diabetes is, we are the national capital, global capital. But do you know, every preterm which is born, and we are adding approximately, very approximately, 14% of the 26 million every year as preterms are the highest predisposed. IUGRs are babies which are born small for date and very, very small in size. They are the highest predisposed to develop diabetes. So we are doing firefighting and we are not trying to identify the cause. The government, again, as the point number 4, can actually implement something which is at a national level for international medical tourism. Everyone knows in this room amongst the private players how international medical patients are obtained in hospitals. India should actually be projected at a national government level as a global healthcare destination site. There is no divide in this, whether it goes to Apollo or Max or Fortis or Moolchand or Medanta or Batra or any other private hospital. The government should come with guidelines that this is the criteria which we are setting, and we will promote it as a national policy. Everyone wins. Here, everyone is fighting in a fragmented manner for a share which is ever increasing. Like in every part of life, be it government or private, so we have agents and we have dalals and what have you, which has only complicated and messed the situation. I think international medical tourism should be a national healthcare agenda. We spoke very briefly, few of the speakers spoke of electronic medical records. We've started something which is known as a smart card in our hospital in Batra, in some of the departments, including cardiology and oncology. So if the person comes within the hospital system, all records, including the radiodiagnostic workups, can be on the computer screen just with a small card like a credit card. But let me put this with a rider, that where we are losing patients, where we should not lose them, with national data available that a person from rural India has to travel more than 25 kilometers to get a simple hemogram done, travel more than 200 kilometers to get an angiogram done. I think let's not overspend on such high-end technology which is only going to be unilaterally used. Let us spend the money more rationally on things which can actually improve healthcare at a primary grassroots level. And I'll give you a very, very nice story in the end. Then I will sit down. There was a very fine nurse in UK in 1920s known as Ethel Margaret. So she, pre-World War I, post-World War I, and same in World War II, found that a very large number of ladies were delivering prematurely, be it stress, be it malnutrition, be it whatever other factors. So in those days, she asked the local government, and the government gave her a small cycle. So she cycled almost 200 kilometers every week and gathered the data of all the children and all the mothers with regards to the age and the birth weight. And this data was lying in a place in UK which got stumbled upon by a person known as David Barker in 1990s, and this was then published as Barker's hypothesis. If you prevent complications in pregnancy, if you prevent complications at birth, your risk of long-term metabolic problems, hypertension, stroke, cardiovascular diseases decreases 3 to 5 times. It decreases if you prevent them right at the time of antenatal, intranatal and postnatal care. Why can't we do it here? Japan, 130 years back, instituted a program of national literacy, and they said in 100 years we will have our full population completely literate. They completed it in 42 years. In 42 years, Japan was completely literate. I think we have a lot of planning, we have a lot of discussions. Where we go wrong is implementation. And my request and a very severe prayer to the government is, give the land free. It's neither yours nor mine. We are not going to take it up to heaven or to hell, and neither we are going to inherit it as a family wealth. Let it be used where it needs to be used. The government can also identify cities as EdMed cities, education and medicine. Give infrastructure within the city where healthcare projects can come up. The lead must be with synergy, with the government. We are doing the maximum running around. It's not nice when you see people within metropoles still suffering for need of healthcare. Thank you.